Immature, unprofessional, and asinine. Those are the words a judge used to describe a sheriff's actions. Hey, what's up, guys? Long Island Audit here, back again with another video. Thank you all for joining me for this live stream. Before we get into it, I just wanted to make an announcement. I received many requests that I signed up for Cameo, so I did. If you would like a personalized video from yours truly, you can get one by clicking the link in the description. So, Florida County Sheriff Keith Pearson loves social media and hates transparency. So let's give him a little bit of both today by exposing what he is doing down there in Florida. Let's take a look.
Feature on the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Facebook page. Turn Yourself In Tuesday this week featured Michael Dorst.
Dorst's last known address was at Fort St. Lucie.
Pearson telling Dorst to turn himself in on warrants for trafficking fentanyl.
If you have any information about Dorst's whereabouts, contact your local law enforcement.
Grabbing Dorst's attorney's attention.
Yeah, so my reaction was surprised because we didn't know about that. That's not public record. And so immediately, I reached out to them and said, you should have just called me.
So I had a similar situation. Obviously, this was when Patrick Psycho Ryder, the Nassau County Police Commissioner, was violating my constitutional rights. They got a warrant, a bogus warrant from a judge to arrest me on criminal trespassing charges that, as you know now, have been dismissed due to facial insufficiency. They got a warrant, and instead of calling my attorney, which was on record already, I was already dealing with a case, they sent 2 masked goons to my house to try and pick me up, run me off the road in the middle of the night on a Friday night, so I spend the whole weekend in jail. So I know what this guy goes through, but I mean, his charge might be relevant. Mine was definitely an unconstitutional charge and unlawful arrest warrant.
You don't need to make TikToks.
Dorst was never on the run, as Minton says the video implies.
He's at his house, which they ultimately went and got him at his house because this case has been pending for 2 years. He comes to court every time.
A new warrant only issued, Minton says, because a charge had to be changed.
It's just not truthful.
Minton Tuesday asking a judge for a gag order to stop Sheriff Keith Pearson from making posts about Dorst's case.
I've been under many gag orders before. They're unconstitutional, and the judge here will see if they're going to issue the gag order against the sheriff. Won't hold my breath, but gag orders, to talk about the case, we have freedom of speech. It's absolutely ridiculous. But for a sheriff that has nothing to do with this to get involved is also ridiculous.
The court has inherent power to gag law enforcement from doing things that potentially threaten to poison the jury panel against Mr. Dorst.
While counsel for the sheriff's office argued the sheriff was doing as directed under the warrant.
And once again, Your Honor, we were doing exactly what we were required to do by statute, is to attempt to effectuate service on this warrant. A habeas is a warrant. It is a take into custody. It is a take a person to jail.
I see where I am directing Keith Pearson to make a immature, unprofessional, downright asinine video about Mr. Dorst. So do not say in this hearing that I directed Keith Pearson to act in the manner that he acted.
The sheriff did issue a statement to me after the hearing saying, in part, it is our role to take any individual with an active warrant into custody, whether reporting arrests live from the scene of a crime, notifying the public of active warrants, or highlighting the amazing work of the dedicated men and women of the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office. This agency's utilization of social media has proven effective, and we encourage the public to continue to follow us to stay informed.
Right. I mean, effective, but it depends how you look at it. Effective to the sheriff, Keith Pearson, who was appointed by the governor of Florida. He wasn't elected, and there's a whole kind of sketchy situation that went on there. If you live in Florida, it's a police state. I mean, if you don't know it's a police state, you're part of the problem. It is a police state there in Florida. These sheriffs, they go on social media not for the benefit of the people, but to enhance their own image, and to promote a police state. That is what they're doing. They're promoting a police state. They're promoting their own image. They're trying to, go viral on social media, but yet they hate transparency. And we'll get into that in a second. But for the judge to use the words asinine, unprofessional, and immature with the sheriff's actions. And we're going to get into the state's attorney. The state's attorney had quite a few things to say about the sheriff.
It's just for likes. And that's not what law enforcement should be doing.
The judge ended the hearing clarifying the sheriff's office is also not involved in this case. It's a Port St. Lucie police investigation the judge says the sheriff should not involve himself with.
If the sheriff, who, as his counsel has pointed out, has nothing to do with this case, decides to continue involving himself in this case and posting these ridiculous videos, then I will have to reevaluate whether a gag order is necessary to make sure that Mr. Dorst gets a free trial.
Megan McRoberts.
We made our latest attempt.
So that was the hearing with the judge for the gag order against the sheriff. This segment here is where this reporter is investigating the sheriff and all these complaints that have gone against him from residents that are against his appointment by the governor, to the state's attorney, who works side by side with the sheriff. The sheriff does not have many supporters, and even the police unions are against him. So, I mean, this guy is not the brightest, bulb, and he's trying to just make his image better on social media, they're trying to go viral. And a lot of sheriffs, and if you guys know, a lot of sheriffs in Florida do this. They try and, go viral on social media to promote their police state and their back the blue agenda. And, the police officers are heroes. We like to highlight the amazing work law enforcement does, but they don't highlight all the dirty deeds that they do, which we'll get into at the end of this video.
Talk with St. Lucie County Sheriff Keith Pearson, this time in light of criticism from the man who prosecutes the people Pearson arrests. Prosecutor Thomas Bacadal taking issue with the way Sheriff Pearson runs his office, writing in the TC Palm, the sheriff's office, quote, is perceived to be run like a frat house, replete with gang signs, shameless self-promotion, and the constant search for clickbait.
Gang signs, would that be thin blue line gang signs? Because we've been saying that on this channel for a while now. Thin blue line gang signs, frat house, all for his social media account.
He also took issue with the sheriff's, quote, lack of transparency in issues.
How are you going to promote yourself on social media and on TikTok and Facebook and YouTube and then have such a lack of transparency for the people? That puts into question, as the state's attorney says, his integrity and credibility.
Integrity and credibility.
Thank you, Will.
Me and my fellow reporters at WPTV have been trying to get answers to tough questions that we want to ask Sheriff Pearson since he took office last fall. Hi, Tanya Tate Bowman, WPTV. In addition to several calls, we made 14 public records requests. While the office gave us some responses, 4 requests were not acknowledged. Barbara Peterson is the executive director of the Florida Center for Government Accountability.
I've been hearing more recently of agencies not even acknowledging a public records request. So they just ignore your request. That's a violation of law.
That is 100% a violation of law and complete anti-transparency, complete police state here. How can you just ignore? And that's happened to me, ladies and gentlemen. It's happened to me where I've submitted a FOIA request and they have never gotten back to me, never even acknowledged it. Because once they acknowledge it and create a paper trail, then they have to do something about it. There's time frames in these statutes, but they just ignore it and act like they never received it. It's absolutely unbelievable. And Florida, for those of you who know, fellow activists out there and people who have tried to submit FOIA requests in Florida, I believe it's the Sunshine Act, they will charge you an arm and a leg for all of these records. They will, make it almost impossible for you to get these records. Florida is one of the worst when it comes to transparency. You saw the reporter say he submitted four of his FOIA requests were just ignored.
Hit speeds of 160 miles an hour.
I've been trying to interview the sheriff since January over these videos posted on social media. One drawing criticism from the head of the St. Lucie County NAACP. Sheriff Pearson repeatedly turned down my request to get a response.
Yeah, I've got another appointment I've got to run to, but I'll catch up with you again.
But just one quick question.
We'll talk about positives.
I caught up with the sheriff last month after a fire rescue board meeting. But why not answer the question about why you went ahead and shot the videos? I want to give you the chance to address the concerns.
We'll talk about that here in a little bit. The individual.
Look how this reporter, I commend this reporter. He's following the sheriff. He's asking questions. He's got the mic right there so he can hear everything the sheriff is saying. But I just want to just take a second. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. This is a live stream. Let me know in the chat. What do you think would happen to me if I followed a county sheriff, like how he's following this sheriff, and started putting my phone or microphone next to him like that? What do you think would happen to me? I would be called an agitator. All the bootlickers would come out and say, "Oh, you're harassing the sheriff." You know, I probably would be put to the ground by other sheriff's deputies and charged. Good on this reporter for doing this. This is good journalism, and that's why, you know, you have to ask the questions. You know, this is not being aggressive. This is trying to get to the bottom and trying to get to the ultimate goal, which is transparency.
Our community like to see some of the videos that we put out there and some reporting right to the people. So we'll talk later.
You sure?
We definitely will.
State Attorney Buckendall was out of town. By phone, he tells me that while he endorses Sheriff Pearson's August primary opponent, the state attorney hopes St. Lucie County understands the seriousness of his warnings. Beginning Monday morning, I called, emailed, and even showed up in person to the sheriff's office to give him one more chance to comment since his state attorney's criticism.
Just imagine the state attorney. The state's attorneys and the sheriffs and the judges, they all work together. If you don't think that's the case, watch any one of my videos. I have a whole trial on this channel. They work together. They're best friends most of the time. And to have the state attorney and a judge call out this sheriff, I mean, he's got to be doing something really wrong, man.
But the sheriff was unavailable for comment.
Documents show.
Of course he was unavailable for a comment. Of course he was. So let's see. This segment here is going to show you what's going on in the sheriff's department in the Keith Pearson Sheriff's Department, the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Department in Florida. Look what his deputies are doing.
Deputies initiated a traffic stop because the registered owner of a car came back with 2 open felony warrants. The traffic stop happened at this location, but when deputies approached the vehicle, video shows the car sped away. That's when a pursuit began. The edited video provided by the sheriff's office shows deputies getting in their car, then jumps to a canine being deployed in the woods. The warrant affidavit says the car in question hit a traffic sign before the driver runs off into the woods. Eventually, the canine finds the driver.
Feel your stomach.
I can't. Ow. Okay, please. We're pausing the video here. Our editors chose to not broadcast the video because it could be hard to watch for some viewers. The sheriff's office concluded it shows Deputy Randy Walker delivering what appears to be a knee strike, then grabs the subject's arm and delivers about 11 additional strikes.
So I've seen the unedited video. I cannot show you, or YouTube will censor this video. I will leave a link to it in the description. This deputy, this unhinged tyrant here, delivered multiple strikes. As you can see, 11 additional strikes in addition to the knee strikes to the head of this individual. It was actually honestly hard to watch. It was pretty brutal. But the thing that the reporter doesn't mention here, and I just want to clarify for everyone, and because it's very important, this deputy was eventually, arrested and fired. But what about all the other deputies that saw this happen and let it happen? They saw a man being brutalized, and this happens every day in the United States of America. Officers, that's why, how can we say there's good officers when good officers stand and do nothing in the face of tyranny and corruption and police brutality? These deputies stood around this man as he's being brutalized, and I don't use that word lightly. Check out the unedited video. Brutalized, and do nothing about it. And then there was no consequences for them. They should have all been terminated.
The man, according to the arrest warrant, says he believes the punches resulted in brain bleeding. Our news team reached out to the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office. It declined an on-camera interview, instead sending out a pre-made video statement, but no opportunity for us to ask any questions on camera.
But like all professions, incidents like this cast a shadow on all the greatness they do.
But Sheriff Pearson did speak with a member of our news team over the phone, saying his department acted swiftly and that a supervisor on scene found.
Count all those deputies right there, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At least 8 deputies, 9 including the person wearing the body camera, and none of them did anything to stop this unhinged tyrant from brutalizing a man.
The alleged beating.
but they're heroes. Remember, that's what we're told. They're heroes. We need to protect them. Officer safety is a real thing. We have to have officer safety that violates our rights. Benjamin Franklin's quote, one of my favorite quotes of all time, is those who give up their security for a those who give up their freedom, for a false sense of security deserve neither.
By reviewing body camera footage. The warrant affidavit shows other deputies thought the force was excessive and believe Deputy Walker joked about the incident, saying, "I wouldn't put that video in Find Out Friday."
Find Out Friday, as you see here, is one of this sheriff's posts. He should do a Find Out Friday about his, if he's really genuine about these social media posts, he should do a Find Out Friday regarding his deputy that brutalized a man. And we should say Find Out Friday. This is what happens when you don't, arrest and stop a fellow deputy from brutalizing a man. They did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. Thin blue line gang. Remember that. It's not about politics. This is not about left versus right. This is about we the people versus the government. The thin blue line that's exactly what it is. It's a line between us and law enforcement. They see themselves as better than us. I appreciate all the members out there. Thank you for joining. I'll get you at the end.
Find Out Friday. We're making room at Pearson's penthouse.
A reference to the sheriff's posts on Facebook. Walker's personnel file shows he was hired in 2016. During his career, he received a reprimand for an incident with alcohol at a brewery and received coaching on the department's vehicle pursuit after an incident. We tried reaching out to Detective Walker, including visiting his house where we got...
Oh, wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen. And somebody said, stop calling them heroes, Sean. I'm being sarcastic in case, you're wondering. I do not believe all police officers are heroes. I am not a bootlicker, so I'm not brainwashed by the police and their social media posts. So, this is why I'm calling these people out. But just to be extra clear, that was sarcasm. Look, this reporter how dare he? But every time I go to a police official's home, I go to the police commissioner, Patrick Psycho Ryder's home, and I protest and I bring my LED billboard truck and, I want to ask questions and I go knock on the door peacefully, just like this reporter did. You're harassing law enforcement at their homes. This is common practice in journalism, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this man. He went to the law enforcement officer's home. Is he a threat? He brought a camera. He's filming his home. Is he a threat to the law enforcement officer and their family? I'm being investigated on felony charges by a grand jury because I went to the police commissioner's home to hold a protest with my LED billboard truck. Again, the government has such disdain for citizen journalists and activists. But if you put that's why I got my fancy microphone now. See the microphone? Now I'm legit. I'm legit press. Microphone. I'm going to get a little, flag right here. We're legit press now. We have a microphone.
Got no answer. According to the warrant affidavit, Walker's lawyer told Internal Affairs Walker feels as if he is the scapegoat of politics.
So nothing to do with politics. You brutalized the man. End of story.
Sheriff's office spokesperson told us Pearson responded to that, saying anyone who's seen the body camera footage would have come to the same conclusion as our detectives. Detective Walker faces battery charges and then charges for lying about what happened. He has 5 days to appeal the termination.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, those are all the stories I have for you today. I just want to, people are giving out. Michael, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Dennis, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. A lot of memberships being gifted today. Dennis became a member. Thank you to all the We the People and Patriot members on the channel. I appreciate your support. The billboard truck is sitting right in front of my home right now. I wish I could just take my webcam and just go out and show you guys. I love it. Maybe I'll do a video where I just show you the billboard truck in detail. It was a huge investment for me, but I thought it was worth it. Not only to not be silenced. First and foremost, I will not be silenced. Never be silenced by judges, prosecutors, law enforcement. It is my First Amendment right to speak. I've already when I talk to you about my Berwyn case, the opposing counsel, defense counsel for Berwyn, they filed for sanctions and to hold me in contempt of court. So if you don't hear from me for a while, it's because I'm sitting in a jail cell in contempt of court for speaking about a case that there was no gag order issued. But this is what they do. They try and waste my attorney's resources, waste my resources. They filed a motion for sanctions against me and for contempt of court against me in the Berwyn lawsuit. it is what it is. I did nothing wrong. I didn't break any court order. I'm just exercising my free speech right. You know, if you don't want the Del Galdo law firm, represented by Cynthia in my Berwyn case, if you don't want me talking about your case, you shouldn't, or anyone talking about your case, you shouldn't represent public entities. You know, on her website, she says publicly that she's a proud defender of units of government. A proud defender of units of government. That kind of made me sick to my stomach. That sounds like a definition of a bootlicker, but you know, it is what it is. I'm going to keep speaking. I'm going to keep, you know, promoting transparency and accountability in our government. That's what it's going to be here. Again, I did sign up for Cameo. Link is in the description. Everybody's been asking me for it, so I really appreciate that. I really appreciate your support. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, stay safe. God bless. I'll see you in the next video. Got some great videos coming out forward with the LED billboard truck, everything. So stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you have notifications turned on. A lot of things coming your way. I was just in Miami, Florida, West Palm Beach. I might have run into Tuapri. You never know. But all right, guys, stay safe. God bless. I'll see you in the next one. Long Island Audit. Peace.